wanted to do another Dawn's Design Demos. I did a blog this week on a highlight table hack, and I kind of wanted to show you how to create it. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And this is techtipsgirl.com. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Entire screen. Okay. So hopefully you all can see that. So this is from a blog post, Tech Tips Girl, and it's about highlight table hack. So some of you may be familiar with highlight tables and heat maps. So heat maps are a little bit different than highlight tables. I've seen them confused. And when would you use what kind of table? So a heat map is basically a table without numbers. Tableau has a little twist on it, as shown here, where the size of the squares indicate kind of the numbers behind the view. So here it's showing you how many customers attended in the month of December. So those big squares are the days a lot of customers came in, and the lighter, smaller squares indicate when the customers, when there was like a lull in customers. So that is a heat map, whereas a highlight table shows numbers inside cells. So we're going to go ahead and recreate this. It's called Painful Table Views. Have you ever had a request from a client that's wanted this kind of view? So this is a no-no. This highlight table is a no-no, where it has profit with 2 years of data. It's wide, so it's got a lot of columns. So depending on your dashboard, your user may have to start scrolling over. And Tableau performs better with more rows and columns. So I'm going to show you a better table, a better way of doing this. So if your client absolutely needs a table, there's a better way of highlighting the table. You also have to ask your client, what do they need? Why do they need to see the data? Do they want to see year-over-year numbers? There's better ways of doing it. But let me go ahead and get started on showing you this highlight table hack. Okay, so recreated that view using, the amber green, red amber green. Also, don't use red amber green. So 10% of the population cannot see red amber green. So you don't want to, use these colors right off the bat. And Tableau has a nice color palette that you can use. Well, we'll get started on that in a second, but just never use the traffic light. I would say, there's alternatives. I've recommended alternatives in past blogs with HTML codes for the actual colors, or, So let's go ahead and get started. I've connected to Sample Superstore dataset, and I'm going to go ahead and click on a new sheet. And what I want to do is I want to drag order dates to the columns shelf, and I want to make this a discrete month. So there's 2 sets of numbers here. I am going to pick the first month. So the first set are discrete, the second set are continuous, and you can kind of tell with the way the numbers appear here. So I'm going to go ahead and select month here, and I'm going to put subcategory on my rows shelf. I'm going to drag it right there, and I'm using Tableau Public, by the way. It's a free software to get to know the Tableau program and some of the enhancements there. So month of order date to column shelf, and then subcategory to the rows shelf. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to create a whole bunch of calculated fields to just point Tableau to the most recent year. And I have this calculated field listed in my my highlight table hack. I have a couple of articles about those, but I list them here if you want to copy and paste them. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pulling the latest date using an LOD expression, or level of detail expression. So I'm using a fixed, saying, okay, Tableau, give me that maximum order date. So this latest date is always going to point to that maximum order date. The latest year is pointing to that calculation, and it's pulling that year value. So I need that year date part to specify, hey, just extract that year value from that latest date. And then the previous year, take that latest date and then subtract 1. So you can see that I'm specifying the year again, and I'm subtracting 1. And then, so these are my 3 main date calculations. And then I pull the data. So it looks like, okay, so if the order date, year of order date, saying the date part, year, order date, equals that latest year, then give me profit. That's it. And then I have one for the previous year. So give me, if that year of order date equals the previous year, then give me profit. So these 2 calculations will only return the profit for the current year. It will not, or the prior year. It won't pull any other data. I've got 4 years of data in my data set. And then the last calculation is simply just a percentage change. Like how much did we go up or did we go down from the previous year? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put these in my workbook. I'm going to go ahead and drag my highlight table blog over to the right, and I'm going to start creating calculated fields. So I'm going to create my first one, and it brings the little pane over to the right-hand side. So latest date. And then calculate the latest date. So once again, fixed LOD expression, give me that maximum order date. So it should return that maximum order date there. I'm going to click OK on that. Another thing I like to do is be kind to my future self and create folders. So in order to create folders in Tableau, you have to first group them by. I'm going to select this little down arrow over here on the data pane on the left-hand side and say group by folder. And then I'm going to create a folder and put my calculated field in that folder. So I'm going to right-click on that latest date and go down to create folder and then put date calcs. These are my date calculations. So, okay, I've got that one. What I want to do another one. A quick trick is if you right-click on any calculations, you can create another calculated field and have that value inside the calculation pane. So here, I have my latest date calculated field inside another calculated field. So I'm going to call this latest year. So hey Tableau, I want to point to, I'm going to use date trunk. And if you're ever not sure on what this calculation is doing, there's a nice little helper here on the right-hand side. So you can say date trunk. Oh, look, it pulled up date trunk. It tells me what it is. It tells me what it does, and it gives me a sample syntax down here. So pretty helpful. So when in doubt, there's a whole bunch of functions in Tableau. Besides just looking at the Help Tableau website, you can also use the tools right in the tools. Use the tool right in the application. So I'm going to say date trunk, year of latest date. So if I keep this as it is, it will automatically format this field as a date time. So I can see that little clock over top of the calendar. So I want to make sure that this is a date format, not a date time format. So I could format it like this and change it to a date. Go to change data type and change it to date. Or I can right click on it and select edit and just nest it inside a date formula. So either way, we'll change it to a date format instead of a date time format. So I have latest date, latest year. Now I need to calculate the previous year. So I can simply duplicate my latest year calculated field and then select edit, and then I can just subtract 1 to get my previous year. So take it outside of the calculated field and do a subtract 1. There's other ways of doing previous year, but this will be my previous year calculated field. So taking the previous calculation and then just adding a subtract 1 there. All right, so latest date, latest year, previous year. Now I want to get the values for those specific dates. So I'm going to go to the calculated field, and I'm going to call this profit current year. This is my if statement. So if date part year, and it's telling me right here in this pop-up menu, the example syntax of how I need to have the calculation. Anything in brackets is the optional part of the formula, so optional start of the week. So if the date part of the order date is equal to the date part, and I'm still using the year again, of the latest year, then give me profit. And then I'm going to select end. So profit, current year, date part year, order date equals the latest year, then give me the profit. So pretty simple if then else statement. I'm not going to use an else actually. You're just going to do a then part. I'm going to leave the else out. So I don't want it to give me anything else. I just want me to give me the data for the latest year, the profit for the current year. So it's going to be dynamic, and it's always going to point to the most recent year in my data set. So I'm going to click OK on this one, and I'm going to drag it back up to the date folder just to keep them all in this date folder here. And I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to right click on this and select duplicate, and I'm going to change this calculated field now to prior year. So I have the current year, so I'm going to do the prior year. So I'm going to right click on that calculated field and select edit and change this C to a P for prior year. And I'm going to swap out the latest year part here with the previous year. So I'm going to take it and swap it out by dragging it on there. So profit current year, profit prior year, and then click OK. So almost done. One more calculated field, and this is to calculate the percent difference between the current year and the prior year. So I do want to make a point of if your year isn't fully complete. So like today, we're in January. If you wanted to have a to date comment, then you would have to add more after your first statement. So if you wanted to do, January up to January 24th of this year compared to up to January 24th of last year, I would have to add some and statements and have it look at the month syntax and then the day syntax. But because I'm comparing the prior year to the current year, I'm going to leave it as is. And my data source has the full year for 2017. So you have to think about these things when you're doing visualizations. Like, what do they want to see? Why do they want to see it? So I'm going to click OK on this. And now I'm going to do my percent change. So the percent change, last calculated field, profit, current year, subtract profit, prior year, and then give me the percent difference. So this statement is going to be, give me the sum of the profit of the current year, and then subtract it from the sum of the profit for the prior year. Okay, got that in parentheses here. Then I'm going to divide that by the sum of the profit from the prior year. And that's it. That's going to give me the percent change, all right, for this view. So I'm going to click OK on this. So now I've got my calculated fields. Oh, and I might want to format this as a percentage. I might want to go to my default properties and go to number format and change it to a percentage when I drag it. So if I need to have it on any other views, it's going to be a percentage. So percentage. Cool. All right. So what else do we have to do here? Okay, well, I want to create an inline calculation. So I'm going to right click on the column shelf and select new calculation. If you're web authoring, you're going to have to create a calculated field and then drag it on there. But if you're in desktop, you can do an inline calculation by right-clicking on the column shelf and selecting new calculation. And here I'm going to put min, open parentheses, 1, closing parentheses. So this actually isn't doing anything. It's just giving me bars for every single cell here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my axis now and expand the bar across the cell here. So it's going to give me little boxes. I'm going to right click on that bottom axis and select Edit Axis. And I'm going to check custom and then do 1 here. So it moves the bars over all the way to the end here. So it's kind of giving me like little cells here. All right. So, and it doesn't look like I had any data there for, you know, that last year. So I'm getting a null value there. The next thing I want to do, so once again, all I did was click on the axis, right click and select Edit Axis, and then fix that end to be 1 under custom. So it moved it right on over. So the next thing I want to do is expand the view, scrunched up here. I could use the arrows like you can in Excel sheet where you expand a column using the double arrows. Or I could say, just give me the entire view up here. So on my toolbar, entire view. All right, I got it. Okay. So what do I do next? Well, we don't have anything in our cells here, our little placeholders. So what I would like to do is put profit current year in the label. And I have all of those. And I'm going to center align them because they're on the right here. So I'm going to click on that label marks card and click the down arrow for alignment and say center, center. There we go. All right. So we're getting there. The other thing, I may not want to do the other center. Sorry, I'm going to just do automatic for that other one. The next thing I want to do is add the other label, the profit percent difference. So I'm going to put that on the label marks card. So that'll put it underneath. So I could see the percent change from the profit from the current year to the prior year for January for binders, for December, you know, so it's doing all of those numbers. But where do I want to focus on? So this is maybe how I want to focus on those negative values. So maybe in the next year I could do an ad campaign and then have to drill down into other views about the why. Why did we drop? What binder did we not sell in July here? You know, so by itself, you can't really drill into the data. So this is kind of the problem with tables. You have to add a pre-attentive attribute of color or some other kind of pre-attentive attribute to this view to kind of drill the user's eye where you want it to go. So the next thing that I do is I want to create a calculated field to color the cell. So I'm going to do one more if then else statement. I lied. I said we were done our calculations. We're not. So I'm going to click on calculated field and say profit highlight. And I'm going to say if this profit percentage is greater than 100, then give me 100% plus. Like that'll be my little call out. Else if that profit is greater than 0. Then give me 0% plus, else if, because we have a null value. So I want to factor that in my calculation. If it's less than 0, then give me that less than 0% label. Else, null, end. And it doesn't like something. Oh, I'm missing a quote. There we go. And you could put notes. So this top one should return over 100%. This one will give you anything from 0 to 99%, and so on. So I'm going to use this for color. I'm going to put this on my color marks card. I'm going to click OK for this calculated field, put it up in date calcs, and I'm going to put it on color. Whoa, that gave me some really bright colors. So I want to adjust this because this is too distracting for the human eye. Your eye is going all over the place. So I'm going to edit these colors to be more user-friendly. And I have to ask myself, what is the story that I'm trying to tell? Well, I want to ignore the nulls. So the nulls are like little blue values. So I'm going to double click on null and make those white and click apply. Click apply. All right, so null cells. All right, so 0 plus, I don't really want to focus on those so much. I'm going to make those white. I'm going to double click on that and make those white. Okay, so I want to focus on the negative values. So I'm going to make this red, but I'm going to make it a lighter, like red. I'm going to take my little plus sign. So it's not in your face. You know what I mean? So that red is really like, wow, your eye is immediately drawn there. And then this 100%, I'm going to make that a light gray. So I'm going to pick a light gray for that and click apply. So yes, over 100% is great. I could focus on that, but I really want to focus on those negative values. So this is a highlight table of hack. Notice that it wasn't the gradient colors. These are all the regular palettes because we did that 4-level table hack. So then other housekeeping items, I would just hide the field label columns. I would hide the bottom axis. I would uncheck the header for that. And I would abbreviate the month, you know, so I would format that month and make it an abbreviation. So it's much smaller. But so basically it's a highlight table, but it's kind of a bar chart, but you're hiding the axis and making it expand the cell. So just a quick tip, and maybe I would make that even a lighter pink. So just wanted to go over a quick how to, you know, Dawn's design demos, do the little hack that we did from my blog site this week. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.